Okay, I forgot to do this at the beginning. Leave a like, subscribe, share with a friend, put your noties on, do all that stuff that all the other YouTubers tell you to do, but do it for me because you like me. And yeah, enjoy the video. Welcome, everybody, to my video on the NBA trade deadline. It's 10 o'clock. I've gone through every single trade, literally every single trade, the big ones, the little ones, the ones that really don't matter, the ones that kind of matter. I've made my opinions on them. I found out all the little intricacies of them, and I've come to my final decision on everything. Plus, this will be a good place for you to kind of get a good look at every trade. I'm going to find a place to put the trades. Maybe I'll cut my face and put me on the left, and I'll have like a whiteboard to my right. I don't know. I'll edit it up. I'll make it look somewhat nice. Or maybe I won't. Who knows? And yeah, I'm going to have every trade. We're going to go through every single one. I'm not going to spend too much time on any of them. I'm going to give my opinion and bounce. And then after that, we're going to talk about the Celtics because that's my team. So if you want the Celtics, you can skip ahead. I'll probably put like a thumbnail or not thumbnail. I'll put like I'll put something there for the Celtics fans. If you want to just hear my Celtics takes, I can go there. And then at the end, I'm going to put 3 big winners and the 3 losers. And you can skip ahead to that too if you want. I might also be like putting something in for that. And I'm also going to talk about the teams that made no moves. So if you want to get the no moves teams, the Celtics, or winners, losers, you don't really care about the details of these other little trades, then move on. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be able to remember everything, so I'm just going to pull up my notes here. And so for the first move I'm going to talk about one that happened before the day of the deadline. We're going to talk about the Sabonis for Halliburton trade. So it ended up being Sabonis, Justin Holiday, and Jeremy Lamb, or for anybody that follows Woj on Twitter, Jeremy Lamb twice, went over to the Kings, and Halliburton, Hield, Tristan Thompson, 2027 second-round pick are going to the Pacers. Now, everyone is so mad that the Kings got rid of Halliburton, and for obvious reason, because Halliburton is the best of their 3 guards, I think. But if Halliburton ends up being as good as Sabonis, I'd be shocked. Sabonis is probably I think he should be an all-star. Pretty much past 2 years, he's been all-star caliber. He's a legit player. Gets no respect, honestly. And while I know that the team needs defense, they're like the worst defense in basketball, I don't think that losing Halliburton's terrible for their defense because then they can just put in Davion Mitchell. Obviously, you'd rather have Halliburton and Mitchell if you wanted a defensive lineup if you're the Kings. But De'Aaron Fox will suffice. De'Aaron Fox is a really good basketball player, and I think next to Sabonis, with Harrison Barnes in there, you got Davion Mitchell. I think that that's not a bad trade. And everyone's mad also because you got rid of Buddy Hield and all that. And yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. But you ended up with the best player in the deal. And people are kind of forgetting that, so everyone's really mad at them. But overall, decent trade. Now, on to the big trade. This is the big one. Everyone's really excited about this one. I don't want to mess nothing up. Here we go. The Simmons for Harden. So it goes Simmons, Seth Curry, a 2022 first, a 2027 first protected, and Drummond going to the Nets, and the Nets are giving up Harden and Paul Millsap. So not a bad trade for either team. I think saying that it's bad on either side is just wrong because the Nets get a better fit and we'll get a player that actually can play some extra defense. And that, yeah, they've been better on defense this year, but I think that you still needed another legit lockdown defender, and that's exactly what Ben Simmons could be a defensive player of the year any year. And then the 76ers, man, they're going to get Harden. I think Harden and Embiid, first of all, rest in peace that free throw line. But also Harden and Embiid is like a match made in heaven in a lot of ways. It's just gonna be such a perfect mix of a guy that can create and score, another guy that can create and score and play D, and they'll move well off each other. The pick and roll is gonna be super mint, just like a LeBron James, Anthony Davis type thing. I'm excited for it. So I think both teams, big dub. All right, now people might not think of this as an all-star level trade, but this guy is an all-star. This is the Porzingis trade. So Porzingis was traded with a second-round pick for Dinwiddie and Bertans, and people are kind of forgetting who Kristaps Porzingis is. It's hard to succeed in a system where one guy dominates the ball the whole time. Not saying it's a bad thing. It's heliocentric basketball for anybody that wants to look it up. It has worked. It's very efficient, especially in the regular season. It's very efficient. But it's hard to win that way, and it's hard to have a second star that way. That's why Dwayne Wade suffered when LeBron comes. That's why these guys just aren't as good when you have a main person like a Luka Doncic. So obviously Kristaps ain't gonna be as good. Plus they force him into a 3-point shooting role. So and in this year he's shooting like 30% from three. He's terrible. So in a year where he should be inside, he has to be outside for him. It's just not a good fit anymore. So I think getting Bertans back for the Mavericks fills the need basically exactly. I think you're just getting a better version of Kristaps for that system, plus Dinwiddie, another ball handler like a Jalen Brunson. I think that's an overall decent trade for them. And the Wizards, they get a second star and maybe can force Bradley Beal to stay. Maybe it's a trade piece for later. I don't know. But it's better than having Dinwiddie, who didn't want to be on the team, and Bertans, who is overpaid. So one last major move, I almost forgot, the McCollum trade. So that was a 2022 first-round pick, a future second-round pick, Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I love, and Tomas Satoransky for McCollum, Nance, and Snell. And by Nance, I mean Larry Nance Jr., and by Snell, I mean Tony Snell, the GOAT. That's a terrible trade for the Blazers. They've been holding on to CJ for so long, and to end up giving him up for that, I like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but we'll get to that later. But to give him up for that is that's just no bueno. Like, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough for a guy that's been averaging 20 for 7 straight seasons. It's just not enough. Especially looking at some of these other trades that have happened today. Like, you could have got different stuff instead. So the first trade I'm going to cover with this section is going to be the Celtics and Spurs. Celtics get Derek White. Spurs get Josh Richardson, 2022 first-round pick, and Langford. You upgrade from Josh Richardson to Derek White. It's definitely an upgrade. There's no other way around it. Langford doesn't play, and 2022 first-round pick, we're not going to have a good pick this year. It's going to be in the low half, and we haven't been drafting well of late. So, honestly, I think it's not a bad deal. To me, what I call these trades are a sidestep. This is a sidestep. There's some teams that take step forwards, some teams take step back, and you don't want to be one of those teams that steps back, but this is a sidestep trade for me. We'll see how good he is. I have a lot of faith in Derek White. I think this could be a step forward. If I were to lean in any direction, I'd say that way, but I don't know. It's whatever. Another interesting trade, we got the Wizards in Charlotte, Ish Smith and Vernon Carey for Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell's having a great season, under the radar, but he's having a great season. Advanced statistics, everything's really supporting that. So Charlotte got a good gain here, and Vernon Carey hasn't shown much yet. Ish Smith going back to the Wizards, like he was there for so long. Do you guys really want to go back? I have a problem with guys that at least, in the same part of their career going somewhere then coming back. Like, I think that's a little weird to me. I'll get to that again later. But yeah, so overall, weird trade. I guess it was probably for the Wizards to figure out cap space and room and all that, and maybe to find like a more role for Porzingis, but we'll see. All right, now this one's a doozy. I don't even want to talk about this one, but here it is. Okay, the Kings get DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, and Trey Lyles. The Bucks get Ibaka, 2 second-round picks, and cash considerations. The Clippers get Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye, and the Pistons get Bagley. Oh, my God. So that's a fucking mouthful. I don't even know if I want to talk. I'll talk about it. So the Kings got DiVincenzo, great player. Josh Jackson, great player. Not great. These guys aren't great. Good role players that can defend a little bit. Josh Jackson, not so much. But Dante DiVincenzo can 100% defend. The Bucks get Ibaka. Big addition for them. He's been to the playoffs. He's been to the finals. He's won championships. I think this is a guy you can bring in. He's shooting good from 3. He's tall. It's basically a backup to Brook Lopez. I think that's going to work out perfectly for them. Then the Clippers get Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. They have a lot of wings now because they also traded for Powell and Covington, which we'll get to next. But, just an average trade for them. I think that taking in Rodney Hood and Ojeleye is like kind of whatever. They didn't have to give up much. Ibaka was honestly kind of fading away in his role for the Clippers, so it's not that big of a deal. And then the Pistons get Bagley, which is dope. I think that's a good get for them. He was kind of disengaged in Sacramento. Again, Sacramento just got rid of guys that don't want to be there. Hield didn't want to be there. Bagley didn't want to be there. Halliburton did. But Bagley and Hield probably didn't want to be there. They were going to leave soon. So getting rid of Bagley, no big deal for them. Next, we got the Trailblazers and Clippers trade. Keon Johnson, Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, 2025 second-round pick, going to the Blazers for Norman Powell and Robert Covington. Another bad trade for the Trailblazers. I mean, I understand they want to start from zero and build around Dame. You didn't have to do this all at once. I think you wait a little longer for the right deal, or you should have been looking the whole time. It's like they just up and decided, like, oh, let's just switch it up. We keep trying to tinker, let's switch it up. You can't do that. You spent so much time. You spent 6 years working on this Dame and CJ thing, trying different combinations, getting Yusuf, getting these other pieces, whatever, trying all this stein. And then you're going to get to a point where you're like, all right, fuck it, let's just blow it up. And then do that all within a couple days. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely insane to me. After all the deals that have been proposed for CJ, that's just crazy to me. And the Clippers get Powell and Covington. That's good. Good two-wing defenders. Again, it kind of makes Hood and Ojale. It's like a better version of Hood and Ojale. But, to each his own. So I guess they just want more wings. PG and Kawhi, like, we don't know what their injuries are like, honestly. Like, they could come back and not be as good for all we know. Now, we got another trade that was a little before the deadline. Cavaliers get LeVert and a second-round pick. The Pacers get Ricky Rubio, a lottery-protected 2022 first, and 2 second-round picks down the line. This was a rare L for the Pacers. You lose LeVert, who's a good player. You get some draft capital, which I think overall makes them have a successful trade deadline because they were able to retain some draft capital for a guy that also, again, didn't want to be there. But LeVert's a very talented player. I have a lot of faith in him. Personally, I think this is a bit of an L because I really like LeVert. For the Cavs, dub. You get another score because Sexton obviously ain't there. And you can really do some stuff with LeVert. You can really put him in any situation. I think he'll thrive. He's just a great basketball player. He's a hooper. He's a hooper is what it is. So if he doesn't get injured, they added another great player to that team. They ain't going to win the finals, but they might make it. That'd be crazy. If the Cavs were in the finals without LeBron and LeBron was out of the playoffs, that'd be crazy. But I doubt it. All right, another Celtics trade. We're not done with them yet. I referred to it earlier. Daniel Tice goes to the Celtics. The Celtics got rid of Schroeder, Ennis Freedom, Bruno Fernando, and then Ennis Freedom was then waived by the Rockets. Freedom got his freedom. He got what he wanted. he got what he wanted. He's out. He's a free agent. He's a freedom agent is what they should call him because, wow, that's just tough for him. But, Schroeder, he gets moved. I don't know why the Rockets really did it. I have to look into the numbers. I'm sure cap-wise it helps them out some way, somehow. I think it's because Tice is on locks, and maybe they'll either extend Schroeder or maybe they just want the contract to expire. Who knows? Yeah, and they get Bruno Fernando. He'll probably get waived too, if I were to guess. If not now, then end of the season. And the Celtics get Tice. Another situation where the Celtics get a big man that they just had. They did it with Freedom or Cantor. They did it with Horford, and now they're doing it with Tice. I don't like it. Maybe it'll pan out. Daniel Tice is one of the most underrated players in basketball history. He's a great player, and he fits well with these boys. They like him. So I don't think it's a bad thing. But, you understand. It's just annoying to see guys leave and then come back. Because you'll pay them, then they leave in free agency, and then you pay for them again with players and assets. So I don't know. You could have re-signed Tice and then got Schroeder and then traded Schroeder for something else. We could have had Tice, we could have had Schroeder, we could have had other things too. You know what I'm saying? It's just an overall loss when you could have just had him the whole time. Whatever. All right, now we are on to the trades with the bench warmers and draft capital. Unless there is a significant part of the trade, I'm just going to fly through it like a piece that I think should be noted. Toronto does the Thaddeus Young, Drew Eubanks, and a 2022 second-round pick for Dragic and a 2022 first, 1 through 4 protected. Eubanks also got waived by the Spurs by Toronto once they got him. Whatever. Next one. Then we got Jazz, Spurs, Blazers. This was I debated putting this in the role players section, but the Jazz got Nickeil Alexander-Walker from the Blazers and Juancho Hernan-Gomez from the Spurs. The Spurs got Satoransky from the Blazers and a second-round pick. And then the Blazers got Joe Ingles from the Jazz, Elijah Hughes, and a second-round pick. And I'll talk about this one for a second. Joe Ingles is out for the rest of the year, so they're hoping he comes back and can play with Dame the way that he played with Donovan Mitchell. So I get that. But you lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the only part that I liked from the McCollum trade. So, in the end, I feel like you traded McCollum for, Josh Hart, a bad pick, and Joe Ingles. What? What are we doing? I'd rather have McCollum 10 times out of 10. Hopefully I'm proved wrong because I want to see Dame succeed. I want to see the Trailblazers succeed. But damn, man, hard to explain these. And the other teams really no effect. Jazz getting Nikhil. That's really good. Then we got this stupid trade. I'm sorry. Then we got this nonsense trade. Bol and Dozier, PJ Dozier, go from the Celtics to the Magic with some cash. So they paid them to take them. They just want to get out of the luxury tax. Celtics don't want to pay extra money for a team that's not going to win the finals. Oh no! Did I say that? Did I say they're not going to win the? Yeah, they're not going to win the finals. Not this year. So they didn't want to pay the extra money for it. Obviously, if you don't believe that, they don't believe that. If you think they think that they're going to win the finals this year, then you're also mistaken because they go over the luxury tax still. If Jaylen Brown incentives hit, which would mean we have to make it to a certain distance into the playoffs, it might be the conference finals. Or we have to win the conference finals, whatever. So they did all these moves to stay under the salary tax, the luxury cap. And if we make it deep enough in the playoffs, which should be the goal, we have to pay it anyway. So they don't think we're going to make it because otherwise they wouldn't care about these other moves. That's what it says to me. Am I looking into it too much? Of course I am. I'm like a crazy ex-girlfriend. That's what I'm like when it comes to my Celtics. Then we got the Pacers, Suns, Jalen Smith, and a future second-round pick for Torrey Craig. Whatever. I like Jalen Smith, but no space for him in the Suns. And then Torrey Craig to the Suns, like I guess just a second Jake Router. That's cool. And then the Suns made another deal, Aaron Holiday for a player exception and cash. So they literally just paid for him. They just paid for him. It's basically like they signed him, which is whatever. I like Aaron Holiday, but whatever. All right, so that was a lot. That was a lot to handle. But that was all the trades. So now we're on to my Celtics. I definitely have an affinity for the Celtics. They're my team. I'm going to do a couple quick thoughts on them. I'll cover every team when I do stuff like this on occasion, but I definitely will take my own time to go over my Celtics. There's 5 open roster spots, everyone's saying. There's five open roster spots. There's five spots. There isn't. There's probably no more moves coming. I did my own research. Like a Aaron Rodgers taking the vaccine. I did my own research. Independent. And I saw we traded 7 players. We got back 2. So I know what you're thinking. Well, if the max roster capacity is 15, well, we really have 17 because we have 2 guys on 2-way deals. We have Sam Hauser and Broderick Thomas. So once you trade away those 7 guys, brings you from 17 to 10. And then from 10, you get 2 back, Derek White and the other guy that I'm forgetting right now. And then you get 2 more guys once you make Sam Hauser and Broderick Thomas full-time deals, which is the cheapest route to do it, which they will do because they're cheap. That's 14 players. 14 is the roster minimum. It's over. Stop tweeting about it. The other player was Tice, by the way, obviously. Okay, so when I was talking about the team's trades, I really gave my opinions on the players and the direction and all that. But I am going to talk about, was this overall a success for the Celtics? I'd say yes and no. So Tice, next year it will be a success, but I'm sick of saying that because Tice will replace Horford well, not only skill-wise, but also just way cheaper version of Horford. Horford's getting paid $27 million this year. So you get rid of Horford after the end of the season, and you have Tice now. So that'll work out perfectly. But I also wish that they had traded for someone else instead and just found another way to get Tice. You could have got something with Schroeder, I think. I really do think that. Even if it was a Kendrick Nunn or Talen Horton-Tucker and you sent him to the Lakers, wouldn't have been a bad thing. But, yeah, overall, sidestep moves for the team. Looking like Tatum, team takes after their best player. That's sidestep. This was a sidestep trade deadline for us. No massive moves, but we'll see how Derek White is. Hold all judgment. Everyone on Twitter says it's a dub, but you don't understand. This could be amazing. He could be really, really, really good. We're going to love the defense here, so he'll be great. So, yeah, that was it with my Celtics thought. I really don't have much else to say. I've already talked about it so much that I might even edit that to be in here. I won't, but whatever. Okay, on to the next part. Now we're going to talk about the teams that didn't make any moves. What teams are those, you asking? Well, I'm going to go with my 4 notable teams, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Warriors, and the Bulls. I'll start with the least interesting one, the Warriors. I think they didn't make any moves. Well, I know they didn't make any moves. They just stood still. And it's just because for a roster that hasn't moved this year, it's in a ton of turmoil. Wiggins is still kind of coming into his own there, which is crazy to say. He's still figuring his shit out. Draymond's been out. Clay's coming back. Steph's playing bad and plays really good. So the team has a ton of turmoil for a team that hasn't changed in all season. So I think that that's probably why they wanted to just stay still, find some sort of parity, find some rhythm instead of trading out for somebody, even though I bet they wanted a couple more bench pieces. But I think overall that team still could definitely win the finals. And the other teams in the West didn't move much, so they don't have any problems not doing anything. Whereas the Bulls, on the other hand, the Bulls didn't do anything, and they felt confident in the roster, but they're not the Warriors. They don't have Steph Curry on that roster. I think that they should have done more. I think they should have went and got somebody else and maybe put a little faith into Ayo Dosunmu, or maybe put a little more faith into Caruso and trade Dosunmu. I don't know. I think you make a push for this year because you don't have many with this roster you have, and plus the other teams got better. The Bucks got better. Celtics marginally, but might have gotten better. The other teams around you just did things that you didn't do. Sixers, Nets. So we'll see how that works out for them. I think that it was a mistake, but I don't know what other moves were out there for. Now, on to the Knicks. Knicks, this is another boring one, but everyone wants to talk about the Knicks. They didn't do anything. I wish they got rid of Reddish because I want to see Cam Reddish play basketball and not like 7 minutes. I want to see him play 25 to 35 minutes a game with an actual chance to be a great player. I would have loved to see him go to the Pistons or go to the Pelicans. That would be awesome. Or go to anywhere. Go anywhere, honestly. But other than that, I don't see what else really the Knicks could have done. Everyone was really upset about them not making any moves. I'm not in that same vote, but whatever. Now on to the Lakers. There was no moves for them to do. If there was a move, they would have done it. So overall, it's hard to say like it was not successful. I do have a massive grievance with what is going on over there now, though. I will talk about that in this next section I'm going to get into. So, last part of the video, my 3 biggest winners, 3 biggest losers. We're going to start with the losers, and it is the Lakers. And they didn't lose. It's such a weird thing. I'm very big on morale. I'm big on like players being all bought in or all out, or, you know, I just think it matters if you want to play there or if you think you have a chance. And LeBron's comments recently were like, we're not good enough. Our team's in a fog. We will not be as good as the Bucks later on this year. We just do not have the capacity. To say you don't have the ability to be a championship team right now, when you're LeBron James and you have Anthony Davis and you have Russell Westbrook and you have all the role players, no matter how much people say they don't, they do. Carmelo's a good player. You know, Dwight is a good player. You have Kendrick Nunn coming back soon. You have Malik Monk. Like, you have players. Taylor Horton-Tucker's pretty good. So I don't want to hear all that. And then to not make a move after that statement, so now it still holds true, is a little awkward. It's a little awkward. They really need to make a move in the buyout market because, wow, man. And then the other biggest loser, this term of loser I'm using in a way of like, you guys are losers. And not in the fact that they lost a lot, whatever. The Spurs. What were they making trades for? For what? You know? Like, for what? Like, they got Langford, who's, you know, more potential in the team, but they had Derek White. So, you know, you're losing. It can't be because the player is better, because Derek White's better than both these players, Jay Rich and Langford. And so they got a first-round pick, and they got a second-round pick in another deal where they also got Satoransky. Satoransky is forgettable at best. Their players got worse, and they got minor draft capital increases. I would have stayed out of all this trading. Unless you're getting something you really feel like you deserve, unless you're getting something that you really feel like you want, like a player you want on the roster, or something like that, or good picks, decent picks, then why are you making trades? It seems a little weird to me. That's why they're losers in that sense. Not that they lost a lot, they didn't gain, they didn't lose, and that's why I'm upset. They made 2 trades for no reason. The biggest losers of the deadline, and just the trades in general, poor Dame Dollar. Because, wow, the Blazers suck. They lost big time. They traded for Norman Powell. They traded a lot for Norman Powell. They got Covington. They've hung on to McCollum through it all. Just to, within a week, you're going to trade both of them and Covington, and you're going to get, like, a bunch of just, like, stuff back, decent stuff back. Not great. None of it's great, you know? And they're really banking on the fact that their cap room is going to get them anything. You're Portland. You're not the Lakers. You're not the Knicks. You're not the Celtics. You're not the Bulls. You're Portland. Small market. Well, not really small, but small. So you're not going to land crazy great free agents. You didn't get anybody crazy great for CJ. You didn't get anybody crazy great for Norman. So what are we doing? I think that it was a strange way to rebuild the team around Dame. Hopefully it all works out. Joe Ingles has shown the ability to play around a volume scoring guard in Donovan Mitchell, so hopefully that works out. Yusuf Nurkic works out, and he keeps playing well. Then they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, too, and then they traded him. And I really like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Not really, but I like him. And you could have had something, but no, you got rid of him, too. The only positive I see coming out of this for Portland is that Anthony Simons gets that chance and becomes a great player, like as good as C.J. McCollum, because he really could be. He has a lot of potential. So maybe they're thinking, maybe they see something that I don't in practice because I'm not there every day or at all, and they see that Simons can be that role, so they were willing to get rid of these other guys. Either way, it doesn't matter. You made a bad trade. Now, let's end on a positive note. Let's end with the winners. First, we're going to start with the Pacers. The Pacers got a dub. They got young players. The team was not performing. They got Tyrese Halliburton. Now they can hold on to Miles Turner, who I like. They got rid of LeVert, but he didn't want to be there, so it wasn't too big of an issue. You know, they somehow managed to do what teams can't. Think about other trades. Think about the Nets. When they go get those 3 stars, they trade picks for them. They trade good picks for them. Or think about a team that wants to rebuild. They'll trade good players, and they'll get picks. So it's hard to do both. It's hard to get good players and good picks. And I think the Pacers did both. They got Halliburton. Halliburton's a great player. They got Buddy Hield. He's another great player. Think of it like this. They got rid of LeVert and Sabonis. LeVert didn't want to be there. Sabonis was just a piece of the puzzle that had to go. And they got Tyrese Halliburton, who has tons of potential, gobs of it. And you get Buddy Hield, a great shooter. And I just think that that works out perfectly for you because you also got draft picks. You got draft picks out of that deal, which is insane to me. You got actual good, first-round picks out of, the Kings, who might not even make the playoffs. And I just think overall, if you're able to improve your talent, your young talent, your overall talent, and get more draft capital, it can't be a loss. That's a win. I think that's a massive win for the Pacers. Now, time for my unpopular opinion. The second winner that I have is the Kings. Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't you just say the Pacers won? And they just traded with each other. Didn't you just say the Pacers won? Yeah, I did. But they both are winners. Why can't we all win? That's similar with my next team, too. But, yeah, they both won. They both made good trades. Sabonis is nasty. Why are people so reluctant to, understand how good this guy is? If Sabonis is one of the best players in the league. If it was somebody else, Sabonis is literally probably as good as, a DeMar DeRozan. I know that sounds crazy to say, but he might be as impactful on a game. So imagine if someone traded something like this for DeMar DeRozan, where the name's bigger. No one would care. Everyone would be like, oh, well, you gave a young player, but, you got a really good player in return, so it makes sense. And they got rid of Hield, who didn't want to be there. They got rid of Bagley, who didn't want to be there. You get rid of guys that don't want to be there, and you bring in good players like Dante DiVincenzo. Josh Jackson's a good player, and they can actually play defense. Bagley was having a great defensive year, don't get me wrong, but, he didn't want to be there. So why do you want him? You don't want guys that aren't bought in. So overall, I think the Kings are going to be dragged through the mud. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And that's fine. It might not even pan out, but I think it's a win. You need a couple hot takes every once in a while. I say the Kings got to win here. Now, for the biggest winner. We'll end on the biggest winner here. Ben Simmons. Simmons whined and complained and sat out and paid his way to the best situation I have ever seen in the history of my life. He might run center. He might run point center like Jokic. Because that roster, the Nets roster, is absolutely incredible right now. If you have Ben Simmons bringing up the ball, you can actually play him and Durant, 6'10", 7 feet. Both of them probably legitimately 7 feet. You'll be one of the taller teams out there. Simmons is also strong. He can guard bigs. And you have Drummond for a big body if you need one. But let's just say you run a little death lineup where you use your smaller guys. You could have Simmons, Kevin Durant, Joe Harris, or Patty Mills, whatever, Kyrie Irving, Seth Curry, all out there. Those are 4 of the best shooters in basketball. The best shooters around Ben Simmons. That is all he's ever needed in his career. Now, it's a big ask for some teams to go get shooters because it's hard, but these guys can all shoot. And now this year, with their defense stepping up, and then you add a Defensive Player of the Year worthy player in Ben Simmons, and you add a guy that can gob up rebounds and play center at Andre Drummond, you could have Drummond, Kevin Durant, and Ben Simmons out there, and you go from a team that was one of the smallest, you're weak inside, bad defense, to the complete opposite. Like that. And then even on the other side, Harden to the Sixers, Harden was pumped, Morey's pumped, Durant's happy, Kyrie's happy, everyone's happy, except for the fans, because the fans just, I don't know, they just were like they're happy that a trade happens because it's exciting, but they just want to complain. Everyone wins. Everyone wins in this trade. Everyone. So just be happy about it. At Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith was so mad. Like at Daryl Morey for nothing. It was weird. But yeah, that's my 3 winners. And that is the end of the video. This was a long one. But when there's this number of transactions in one day, and it's this many stars, and they're moving from place to place to place like this, it's like almost like the start of free agency or something in the middle of the season. When there's daily this in the middle of the season, trade deadline every year, especially something this crazy, you need to have extended coverage. You need to look at every single aspect of it. And I'm sure there's things I missed. I know that there's trades I didn't write down. But yeah, I wrote down everything that I cared about. And I thought about it. I thought I'd come out here and just talk about it or whatever. And anybody that watched the video, thank you. If you laughed, leave a like. If you didn't laugh, leave a like. If you watched it, leave a like. If you're hearing me right now, leave a like. Just in general, leave a like if you feel like it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and peace out.